Hey everyone, this is Adam the Tent Guy. I know I haven't been on a lot lately, but tonight I got Jim with Recipi. You've seen him before. He's been on a few times. Jim, how you doing?
Good, brother. How are you?
Good. We're drinking a little bit tonight. I'm drinking a local beer. It's Utica Club from Utica, New York. What are you drinking?
And I thought I'd go special for this, so I'm just doing a homemade jalapeno margarita with a spicy rim. I'm sure that sounds fruity and fancy, but just four ingredients, right? Tequila, triple sec, lime, ice.
This sounds good. The jalapeno part sounds good. I can't, since I was 18, I can't drink tequila because I was in Greece. There was lemon trees. Everyone was doing tequila and lemons, and I don't remember the night. So ever since then, it just tastes gross to me. I think everyone has something they can't drink.
Captain Morgan, I hear you.
All right, so for the people who don't know, haven't seen you before, who are you? What do you do? Why are you here?
Yeah, so I'm here because you're the man and you invited me to come back, so thank you. But my name's Jim Mariano. I've been in the event rental business for about 20 years now. In college, I worked for a giant tent rental business. I fell in love with it. I'm not a handy guy, so being able to go out and build a 40 by 60 tent was, really cool. I got out of college, started my own rental business, just like yourself. It was a side gig for 10 years or so while I worked in digital marketing for a software company. I went full-time a few years back. And then at some point I realized, hey, I've helped family and friends and other people get into the event rental business. So I made a business out of this called Recipi. I'm sure we'll link to it, but RECIPI, recipe.com. And now I help, it's exclusively for event rental businesses. And we help grow existing rental companies with website and digital marketing. Or if you're new and you're thinking about getting into party and event rentals, we offer, the kind of the advice, the guidance, plus the website, the marketing. A couple years into that, it's going great. We're 80 plus clients in. So, as we're talking, I think the interesting part here is I'm not just talking about myself or my own business. I've got a ton of data points. We've got 80 plus clients in different areas. So, so I get to see a lot of the inside info from all these different rental companies.
Right. From like small to do you have large companies too?
Yeah, I've got a handful over 4 or 5 million a year.
Okay. Sweet. So yeah, you see the entire gamut. And it's important to note, like, there's a lot of people who can make websites and, do the AdWords and the SEO. But in general, those people are just kind of in general. You are in this business, so you know what keywords and you know what actually works. Like, there's a dude who you might go in your local town. He doesn't know what a Shivari chair is, but you do.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So one of my longest term clients, came from that type of service, right? He was paying like $800 a month for just some giant marketing agency, blowing a ton of cash on Google ads. And when we went in and looked at what he was paying for, it just became obvious that, like you said, the agency didn't understand that, a Shivari chair rental is something we want, a picnic table rental is something we don't want. So it's just, I think it helps to have somebody who speaks your language, who's in the space.
Right. We're going to get into SEO and stuff, but before we hit the record button, you said you had a linen tip, and I do as well. So why don't you give your linen tip real quick?
Yeah. So you are the equipment guy. I'm not going to step out of my lane. You are the best resource for, hey, we're going to go out and do a 30 by 60 tent, or here's who you should buy your dance floor from. But I've got a really easy one that I've picked up from just helping people get into this thing. And it works out well. I mean, I do this for my own business. So I'll give you the quick version. As you know, linens can kind of suck, right? Unless you're a giant operation that has a linen press, or you want to offer scorching high prices to sub-rent linens, to ship them out through Choice or one of those. Linens stink. So when I first started, I was losing jobs because I just didn't have the linens, and somebody would say, oh, we'll go with somebody else who has everything. So I first started by sub-renting, right? There's no money in sub-renting the linens. It sucks up your time. If who you're sub-renting from doesn't have inventory, you're hosed. So scratch that off. That stunk. And then I thought, all right, I'll just buy the linens and try to launder them myself. Absolutely not. If you're
No, that
watching this,
sucks.
please don't. Burnt through a washer and dryer. I was paying my wife to try to do linens for me because she's off during the summer as a teacher. It sucked. So that didn't work. So I found two kind of decent solutions. Ultimately, I landed on the last one. But the first one was, if you can find a local laundromat and find somebody who's willing to just do wash, dry, fold, if that works, then great. You got to keep it simple with them, right? I only do white. I only do basically two sizes, round and long. So that was okay. You can still make money in it. You still have to shuttle stuff back and forth to the dry cleaners. But finally, ultimately, the easiest solution, one of my clients told me he was doing this, and I was just like, Jesus, how did I not think of that? And it's purely just buy them in bulk, buy them for $8, $9 a piece, rent them for $12, $13 a piece. And essentially I'm telling clients they're yours to keep. I tell them, I'm delivering them brand new, still in the package, and they're yours when you're done. So, you're still making $4 or $5 for the rental, and we just totally get rid of all the laundry and all the logistics and coordinating. So that has worked out phenomenally, right? It's just stupid, simple, idiot proof. You order a ton of these linens, you buy for X, sell for Y, and God, has that made a difference. So if you're listening and that helps, you're welcome.
Right. I like it. And then quick covers. This would not be for weddings or whatever. This would just be graduation parties, backyard parties. Quick Cover sells a plastic elastic table covering, and I think it's like $3 you buy them from them, and you upcharge probably like to $5 to $6, and then they just get thrown away. Obviously, you're not doing it for weddings. And then, did you like sub rent from like the big companies like Ultimate Textile or A1, or were you sub renting from local?
I had a local business like 4 miles away. I was just using them and praying that they had their shit together and had the inventory or had my order when I needed it.
I was sub renting from the big dudes, and they never not had a color when you wanted it. But the was a logistical issue, because if UPS doesn't get them in on time, you're screwed. If you're setting this big wedding up on Wednesday, the linens came in on Thursday, now you got to go all the way back out. And then you only got them for 7 days. So if it's raining Sunday, Monday, and you're not taking down until Tuesday, you might be a day late, and they might want to charge you again. It was cool because you don't have to do any of the cleaning, but you still had to get them and get them back. And that was a nightmare. And then also people didn't know what the color was, because no one weight balances their screen. So when you see colors on your computer, they're not true. So we'd get colors in. It's the color they ordered, but they would be like, this isn't what I want, man. So I just don't do linens anymore. I just hate them.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've seen a downturn at all.
Yeah, good. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, yeah, some percentage of your customer base is going to say, what a pain in the ass. I can't get this from you. But, a company your size, you're getting them 95% of the way there. They can figure out the last 5%, right?
Yeah. All right, let's get into it. About SEO more than the average person. It's just a word we all know, but we have no idea what goes into it, what's behind it, what it actually means, and how to do it. And so you've got some actual stuff. Let's get into that.
As Adam mentioned, SEO is this term that everybody kind of understands the general principle. I think people understand that they want it, right? That it means free visits to their website. So I think people understand the value, but I don't think they understand what's in the box, right? What actually is this? So I think this will be really helpful to just show people live, kind of how you can give yourself a better chance at ranking highly in Google for some of your key search terms. So we're looking at James River Event Rentals. This is a new client of ours. We just launched in end of October. And fun side note, for their logo, we actually used AI. So we used a tool called DALL-E, DALL-E, basically asked it to design a logo for a local rental business. And so in any case, really cool if you want to play around with AI for images or for a logo. That was a fun, interesting one. These guys are just getting started. They're brand new. They're offering kind of the core stuff, right? Small tents, tables, chairs. We're testing dance floor and some other items, but it's a small side gig for my client, and he's just kind of playing the hits, starting with the basics. So here's what I want to call out. So first off, we're using Squarespace as the platform. It's a great tool. I worked in digital marketing for a giant publicly traded software company doing this professionally. So I have done real SEO at real scale. And honestly, Squarespace, Wix, they're good enough to get the job done, right? So no concerns on what platform we use. They're all great. So let's take a look at the website. So I'm going to call out, let's just look at something simple like dance floor rentals. All right. So made the page. So, we've got a pretty standard dance floor rental page. And if we go to the page settings, so first thing I want to call out, the URL itself is so important. We want to tell Google, it doesn't have, it can't understand context, right? It's this machine that was built that goes out and crawls every single page on the internet and tries to digest it, understand it, put it in order, right? So Google's doing this massive job at, lightning speed. So if we can help Google understand what the page is about, or, tell Google like, hey, this is a good solution for somebody's question when they search dance floor rentals in the Northern Virginia area, right? That's what we're trying to do is give Google every bit of evidence we can provide that this page is a good answer to somebody's question. Be really thoughtful about the actual URL itself, right? We don't want to write jamesrivereventrentals.com/floors, right? Because Google doesn't understand floors. Does that mean you're doing hardwood flooring? Are you selling floors? Are you refinishing? So be really overly prescriptive, like be really overly or descriptive, I should say. Be really overly obvious, right? So we want to include the keyword and the location if possible. So that's kind of step one, right? So now obviously we need specific pages for all of our best rental items with good URL structures like this. And then if we flip to SEO.
Right. Well, on that, as that's loading, some people, they don't have a lot of stuff. So they just make a one-page website, basically. Dance floor, chairs, tents are all on that. So what you're saying is it'll help more to have even if you only got one of those items, it'll help SEO to have more pages.
Yeah. Because instead of having one page that has all of your rental items, and you're going to see that everywhere, right? 90% of the small rental businesses we visit, they're going to have a page that says rentals, and it's just going to look like, a menu at a restaurant. It's just like, here's all the stuff. To Google, that page isn't about anything in particular. It's just about it's about a bunch of stuff. So the odds of that ranking on any one of those particular items is pretty low, right? It's like, hey, this page has 15 items on it, so it's not targeted, essentially, if that makes sense. So again, giving Google all the signals we can to tell it like, hey, this is a good page for you to show to your users. Next thing we discuss is the title, right? The title of the page. So again, I'm using keyword, dance floor rentals, the name of the business, and then I'm sprinkling in a couple of my clients, target cities or towns in his area. And I'm basically just trying to train Google like, hey, if somebody in these areas is searching for dance floor rentals, that's what this page is about. We have the perfect answer to someone's question, and the reward should be that you rank us highly for it, right? And there's other factors we'll get into, but this is like blocking and tackling, right? There are other factors, time, right? It's going to take some time for SEO to work. There's factors like backlinks, right? Like what other websites are linking to your business, right? But those are somewhat out of our control. What's in our control is the stuff that's right in front of us. So why not optimize that the best we can? So, keywords, locations, and then the next step down is the SEO description. And that's just, hey, write up a paragraph, about what this, what the page entails, fill it with keywords, fill it with locations, don't just stuff keywords and locations in there. It should kind of try to read naturally. Here's the inputs and then what it ends up looking like, right? So here's your title and here's your description. And then if I just flip to a Google search, just so you can kind of mentally map out how this works, here's your title and here's your description. And by the way, even better, if we can also pull in a featured image, right? You can see how much better this result looks than the next one down with no image. This is the most basic SEO stuff there is, but it's fully in your control And very, very few rental companies or small businesses in general do this. And if you want, I have an example of, kind of the opposite of this from a local competitor to these guys. So I can kind of show you what a typical rental company website looks like. If I look at these search results, right, the first listing is Williamsburg Event Rentals. So I've opened up their site. These guys are not a client of mine, but I mean, this is a really healthy, reputable, this is a great business, right? So I am not trying to dunk on these guys at all, right? They've got a nice website. You can see their product, their service is great. I just saw a giant, beautiful pole tent. So this is not at all to dunk on these guys. They've been in business for decades, which is probably why they still rank number one, right? Time is a factor. But if we click through some of their pages, right? So here's exactly what you were saying, Adam. So price list, right? So we go to it. First and foremost, the name of the page, price list. So to Google, this page is about a price list. Well, a price list of what, right? We don't know what these, so a better version of this page could be like event rental price list, right? It just to stuff some sort of keyword in there. And then we go to the page and there's nothing on it, right? It's just a PDF that goes to their pricing. So, not the end of the world. I'm sure plenty of people out there do it. This is kind of what we typically see from folks. So ditto, if we go to tents, actually even worse, right? So this URL is just kind of like insider jargon, whatever this is, right?
Right.
The page is okay. The page has content, it has words, it's helpful to a human, right? So we have photos, some words. So this isn't awful, but this is tough. And then as a little, as a little trick, if it helps, if we just hover over the tab, we can see what pops up is the title of the page. So the title of this page is just tents, right? And instead, it could be so much more articulate. The title could be Tent Rentals, Williamsburg, Virginia. So for SEO title, they just had the word tents instead of all this good stuff with the keyword, the location, the name of the business. If you're talking about SEO, I think the two big takeaways here is don't make Google try to understand what your website is about. Be super, super descriptive and obvious. Almost treat Google as if it was like a blind person, right? It can't see the photos on a page. So if you make a page and you just call it prices, Google doesn't understand like prices of what. That's kind of how I think about this. And you have a lot of stuff that is within your control. The title, the description, the URL, the image that we saw in the search result. There's so many more factors, but these are the easy ones that are well within everybody's control who's listening to this. So I'll pause there on that.
Okay, so that's basic SEO. That's just the basic of the basic. Jim has another video that he gave to me. It's going to be linked down below. It's going to get a little more deep into it, as well as analytics and why they're important. But I don't want to lose you guys right now because that can get a little highbrow. So we're just going to move on and keep it going. And so Jim has this outlook on small jobs, which is actually making me rethink small jobs because I hate them. I absolutely hate them, but he's got some very good points. Take it away. What are your points on small jobs?
Yeah, so this is both for my own business and for dozens and dozens of my clients, anybody who's starting in the event rental space, right? It doesn't make sense to start brand new and think you're going to go do a $15,000 wedding, right? You don't have the inventory. It's way too high risk. You have no idea what you're doing with logistics. And everybody, for the most part, starts small. And then people try to grow out of that. But what I want to propose is that even those small jobs are really valuable if we're just thoughtful about it. So here's the example. I'm sure you get plenty of inquiries or plenty of, emails from people saying, hey, we just want to rent, 50 chairs and 5 round tables. And you don't like doing it. During the busy season, I don't like doing it either. But for those just getting started, or if your business is slow, or if it's the off season, at some point you may find yourself just having to take whatever's in front of you. So here's how I like to think about it. that 5 table, 50 chair gig, yeah, it's $250, $300, whatever. That's not enough to get you excited and get you out of bed. $250, who cares? But every single one of those jobs is an opportunity to further your business, right? It's like blocks, just like stones, millions of stones stacked up to make a pyramid. If we go and do this $250 job and we actually care and do a nice job, do what we said we were going to do, let's ask for a review, so that just that 1 5-star review, that's going to be with your business on Google at the top of the page forever. So you stack up 15, 20 of those. And yeah, now it does make a difference because Adam's business has 47 5-star reviews and the next business on the list has 15, and the rating is 4.2, right? So the small jobs, first off, it's an opportunity to take something with you and keep forever. And that's the review, right? Hugely important. Google loves to show that map at the top of the search results when they realize that this is a local search, right? So the map shows up with the name of the business, the online reviews, the phone number, the website. That's free real estate. It's premium real estate at the top of the page for Google. So if you can work your way into that mix with 5-star reviews, that in and of itself is, in a sense, it's like small ball SEO, right? It's still optimizing your business to be at the top of a search engine, right? So that's how I think about the first thing is even a small gig, if you can take a review out of it, you've got something permanent that adds value to your business. And then thing two is, there's 50 asses sitting in those chairs, right? That's 50 opportunities to get a referral, get another gig, right? So just treat people well, do a good job. Every event you handle has dozens, hundreds of people there. So, just do the right thing and it can lead to, referrals. And then the most obvious is repeat business. If you do a nice job for somebody on a small table and chair gig, are they ever going to go out and call somebody else next time? Like, of course not. They're going to call you, right? So now this little $250 gig, it's not that exciting. It's not going to change your business. But if they call every year or they start to do more events and now they do 4 of these a year with you, over time, now you've got 40, 50 of these clients who do this, this stuff starts to add up to, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 worth of basically just paid errands, right? These are small gigs. You can do it by yourself out of your pickup truck, or, for you and I, guys who have employees, go send your, least talented guy. The idea is like, don't just immediately, I have a lot of clients who think I'm going to have I'm going to have minimum orders. It's like, well, why? Right? Even the small ones, if you can make something of them, they add up. Right. So my business, one of my main advantages is if you search tent rentals, Boston, my business will be in the mix because I've got like 115 perfect 5-star reviews. And I know everybody realizes reviews are important, but it just really is, right? When somebody goes to my website and fills out the form requesting a tent rental, I'll get people who literally write like, your reviews are amazing. We really want to work with you, right? Even if I have a banner at the top of my website that says, hey, we're sold out for June, like, please don't inquire. We can't handle more inquiries for June. People will still inquire and say like, hey, can you put us on like a wait list for cancellations because your reviews are so good? You don't have to sell yourself to somebody. You don't have to convince the client that I'm going to do a good job for you because you've got a list of 115 people here who are willing to say, these guys are great. They'll do a nice job. So those small gigs, instead of resenting them, just try to make sure we get something out of them, that we get a review, a repeat customer, a referral, and start to stack those up, and over time that just smooths out the dead times. If you have a slow weekend, the more of that stuff we can do, it just gives you the luxury of choice, right? When you get to a certain point in our business where you don't have to say yes to jobs, if you have an abundance of leads or inquiries or phone calls or however people get in touch, if you have an abundance of those coming in, you get to be picky, right? I'm not working for assholes. I'm not going 50 miles away, right? So you get to choose who you work with. And the most obvious is you get to raise your pricing, right? If demand is outpacing supply, we get to raise our pricing. So I'm sure some of this stuff seems a little obvious, but it's really important, I think about it like going to the gym, right? You're not going to get ripped after 2 days at the gym. It's going to take visiting the gym 200 times, 300 times, but
Right.
just stacking those visits, stacking those small inquiries and the reviews and the referrals and the word of mouth and the repeat customers really, truly does matter.
I got two little examples. So I have this one husband and wife. They only rent 30 to 50 chairs for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And the only reason I even started doing it was when I had a normal job. We both worked at the same place. Well, from that, we did a bunch of graduations for her kids and other, her nieces and nephews. And then we did first birthday parties. And I did at least 2 weddings for people in their family. I'm not sure. It could have been more. That's like $30,000 off of, just doing 30 chairs the first time for this person. And then you said, like, when you have an abundance of leads, you can say, no, I said no to someone today because I don't like the wedding planner. Plus it's an hour and a half away. And then the mother of the bride called me and was like, why don't you want to do this? This is, I think it was $8,000 or no, it was $16,000 job. And I said, honestly, and this is nothing against you, but your wedding planner sucks. She's horrible. I can tell it's going to be a nightmare. Plus it's an hour and a half away. I just don't need to say yes to it. And we had like a 15-minute conversation and she was like totally understanding about it because she owns several businesses. I just said, it's not worth it for me. But they're like, no one wants to, they're having a hard time because no one wants to go up there and do the job for them because I think they can tell that the wedding planner sucks. But I can say no to that because I know it's a popular weekend and my stuff's going to go out anyways.
Yeah, it's so nice when you can turn down a $16,000 gig because you have 90%, 95% confidence that you're going to make that 16,000 in a much easier fashion, right? I'm going to make that 16 grand, even if it's 4 gigs instead of 1, but they'll all be within 15 miles for good clients, for, easier jobs. So, I mean, that's the perfect example, man. And so is the other one you gave, right? Hey, I did goofy chairs for some guy. Who cares? But it's led to you service the family now, right? And it's turned into 30 grand worth of rentals. So that was perfect.
All right, so you just saw an edit there, a big cut, because I was trying to tee up this next thing, try to make it sound all natural, but so in a completely not natural way, like on a talk show. Hey, Jim, do you have people that you work with on a regular basis?
Hey, Adam, thank you for the question. Yeah, so what we're trying to tee up is the value of strategic partnerships. Here's what we're going to cover, right? We want to find recurring jobs. We want to find people who we work for on a regular basis doing, kind of set tasks, and the efficiencies we get. You said this in a video, so I'm stealing this right from you. It just makes the work more efficient, right? If you know the venue, if you know the space, you know where the equipment's going, you know the client, you already know they're going to pay. There's no unknowns. Finding these partners is so valuable. And in our world, strategic partners can mean, venues, right? If you have an event venue who says, hey, Adam, we're going to rent a 30 by 60 frame tent from you every weekend that we have a wedding, we're going to rent it 15 times this summer. So, that's one example, just the venues. Event planners can kind of drive both of us nuts sometimes, but the good ones, once you establish a rapport with them, it should get to the point where they're just saying, hey, Jim, can you do XYZ for us? Send me the bill. It becomes easier. And then I think about other folks like, caterers, florists, whatever the case might be.
Colleges.
So that's
colleges.
Yeah, right. Colleges. When we talk about, when I say strategic partners, that's what we're talking about. And when I talk to new clients, I'm telling them like, hey, I've learned so much that if I were starting over again, I would really, really, truly think about being proactive about going out and finding strategic partners. So, there's 2 ways that these things kind of come about, right? One is naturally. You go do a job, it goes well, you meet the venue manager, you shake their hand, you say, hey, this was great. I'm happy to be your guy for the next one. The relationship happened because you proved the work, you did the job, it went well, and now it's going to blossom into more. The other way is to just try to be proactive, reaching out, doing some homework, and I'll get really tactical. Here's an example. I've got a venue near me. They keep a permanent tent up year round. It's on this paved or poured concrete patio. They do tons of weddings. I've seen photos on their Instagram of weddings of women dancing in high heels on pavers, basically. I'm like, guys, what are we doing? Where's the dance floor? So I reached out to them proactively and said, listen, I would be thrilled to be your dance floor guy. You're 5 miles away from me. I'll work with you on pricing. It's just such an easy job that I tell them, look, if you want to bake it in to your package, bake it in and mark it up, right? So instead of $5,000 to rent the tent for the night, it's now $5,600.
Right.
So A, mark it up. B, if you don't want to deal with any of this stuff, just send the clients my way and I'll happily say, oh, okay, great. You're getting married at this place. Yep, we have a flat rate. Here's your invoice. See you on June 15th. I've got a couple of partners like that, and I keep it really simple. I've got a few wedding venues in the Boston area who use me exclusively just for dance floor, right? So they have the season-long tent. They have their own tables and Shivari chairs. They kind of have the basics, but they don't have a dance floor either because, they had something and it got damaged, or it's just a royal pain in the ass to lug this giant thing out using your event staff, which is usually just like teenagers or older women, right? The dance floor can be an albatross. So, instead of trying to mess with that, they just use me. One of these venues, I did like 24 events this year at an average of like $800 a piece. So that's $20,000 worth of dance floor rentals. And it's ungodly easy, right? I do it once, I take a picture of it. Here's where the dance floor goes. And now I can go send a $20 an hour guy if I want to. And it's idiot proof. He doesn't have to talk to anybody. He doesn't have to coordinate. He doesn't have to figure out, where the floor goes. Will it fit? It's just incredibly easy business. And it's become more and more of my revenue, and if you said, hey, so that was what I just mentioned, that was one partner, roughly 20 grand in dance floor. I've got a similar one in another town that does dance floor. I had a restaurant with a beautiful roof deck who just did wedding ceremony chairs, right? So they needed somebody who could deliver, set up, and remove, 100 to 150 chairs same day, right? They didn't have any storage. They couldn't leave stuff overnight. So a lot of the giant rental businesses, they don't want to mess with that. They don't want to send two guys at 7:00 at night to go take down chairs, but for me, it's phenomenal money because I'm getting the rental. I'm getting a premium on the delivery, setup, removal, same day. And it's automatic. It's 25, 30 times a year, so just that chair relationship was like $32,000 this year. So when I stack just those three partners alone, two dance floor partners and the chairs, that's $75,000, $80,000 of the easiest revenue you can make instead of $80,000 worth of one-off events, typical events where you got to trade 5 emails back and forth. You hope that the client's cool. You hope that, the venue is accessible. So it's just optimized, easy, stress-free revenue. And, man, I can't stress it enough. And for people listening, like that's a huge chunk of advice. It's, I'm not saying you're going to make 5 phone calls and land 5 partners, right? It's going to be hard to find these opportunities, but keep your eyes peeled. And the example I'll give is, when somebody sends you an inquiry through your website, right? If somebody fills out a form on your website, first off, let's just notice their email. Right. If it's, Jim and Adam at gmail.com, maybe that's a couple who's planning a wedding, but if it's Jim at Tewksbury Country Club, okay, I'm going to treat this guy, I'm going to handle this inquiry differently because it's clearly coming from somebody who's on the venue side. Right. So when I respond to them, I'm going to say, hey, I'm thrilled to do this dance floor for you. But more importantly, let's talk about all of your events, all of your dance floors, right? So the main point here that I really want to stress is you can't just be a receptionist, right? You can't just be an order taker, right? Oh, somebody wants 40 chairs. Okay, I'll go put in an order for 40. Like, be a salesperson, right? Look for the opportunities. Go find the venue manager and go shake their hand. Go tell them you'll do a nice job for them. And, these people are so appreciative because in the end, you're not trying to sell them anything. You're solving a problem for them. Right. These people who I have as partners, they can't thank me enough. I'm like, I should be thanking you. I'm doing $30,000 worth of basic white folding chairs. This is stupid simple. And at the end of the year, you kick them some cash or give them a gift card to their favorite restaurant. And now you own them for years. So that's one of those things that it's made a pretty good dent. It's a pretty good chunk of the revenue for my business, and it's just made life so much easier.
Two of my biggest clients, I got the proactive way. One was a college. I literally called like everyone I could at the college until I got to the right person, because it's not the same at every college. People ask me all the time, like, who do you call? I'm like, I don't know. You just call every single number you can get a hold of until you get to the right person. And now it's just so easy. And I don't know what this college is doing, but every other week in the beginning of the semester and at the end of the semester, they're getting like 600 chairs and 60 tables. And it's all easy. We put it on wheels, goes in, we take the ratchets off. When we come and pick them up, they have it all stacked back up. It's an insanely easy job. And it's 5 minutes away from my warehouse. And then the other one was a caterer who I was messaging for months and months and months. And then finally they needed me because their current rental company just had dirty stuff. So did their thing, and then have them, I'm the only tent company they use. And it's probably like $150,000 a year from them. And that was proactive, getting that, just staying in their mind. And then they send me to all these places like this barn and this venue and because putting up the catering tent. And then I get natural way, this barn needs tents, tables, chairs, whatever. But it all came from the proactive person first. And then through that, I get the natural.
Yeah, dude, huge, right? Yeah. Just the college, what'd you say, 150K relationship on that?
I don't know. The college isn't that much, because it's really just, it's about like 6 rentals in the beginning of the semester and then the end. So it's probably like 30,000 a year. But the caterer is like 150,000 a year, if not more.
All right. So the caterer was 150. But think about how much more work there would be to coordinate new events with new people to the tune of 150,000.
Yep. And once you start going to the places that these caterers are going to, you just go the first time, you learn what needs to be done, and then every time after that it's the same.
Yeah, that's a great point. So it's kind of a 2 for 1. If you can get the caterer, it's not a set location, so they're also dragging you along to all these places, and now we get to go introduce ourselves to those folks. So even better, dude. Took my concept and made it even better.
I got a lot of videos that Jim gave me. They are going to be linked below, but they're not all being released at one time. So if you're watching this early and it's released, all those videos are not going to be out yet, but eventually there will be. How many were there? 6, 7?
Something like that. There was a bunch.
Okay. There's 6 or 7 or more, but they will all be linked down below. But they'll come out like 1 to 2 days apart from each other. Also recipi.com. And you have a free download too that people can get for your website.
Yeah. Come to Recipi. There's a download my free marketing guide, and it's a lot of this stuff, and again, I'm not just some rental guy who decided, I know marketing. This was stuff that I learned at a $250 million a year software company. So this is, real, tangible, professional advice. And I decided, hey, let's stick to a niche that I know best. So let's only work with rental businesses. So, go get something free. I'm not going to torture you if you go download the guide. Just go download the guide if you'd like it. And in general, if you're thinking about starting a rental business, or if you already have an existing rental business and you just need some help with website and marketing, that's what we do. I'm sure people didn't get into this line of work to worry about digital marketing.
Yeah.
So I'm not the Wizard of Oz. I don't have all the answers. I'm not going to guarantee results. I'm not going to promise you're going to rank number 1, right? I'm just trying to do the things that you and I have learned over our 20 years of doing this, and offer that advice to people so they don't clunk their heads doing the same, dumb shit that you and I did. Yeah. Oh, and plug for you, right? Because you also have a course. And
I do have a course.
The amount of people who come to me saying, I read the Tent Guys course and it was amazing. So I think the two can kind of function together really nicely. But I've got an edge on marketing, website, that stuff, but you are the chosen one for the how-to. I mean, that's your wheelhouse, man. So that's the real plug for you, because you got a ton of value in that.
Thanks, Jim. Jim knows me pretty well, and he knows that I don't like this. I'm very bad at self-promotion. Just
the world's most humble man, the guy most willing to give away his time and his content to help people and be kind of aw shucks about it. But dude, everybody watches this stuff. Can't thank you enough. You know your stuff, and people, on the whole, kind of love you. So thank you, dude.
Well, thanks, man. I'm going to put you on the spot. So not in 2024 ARA show, but 2025 ARA show. Come see me and Jim at his booth. He said he's going to go to the 2025 ARA show. I don't forget where that one's at. It's either Vegas or Orlando.
Yeah, I had to skip this year. I've got an 8-week-old at home, so I'm out for this year. But I said to Adam, I was like, man, if I had a booth at ARA and you just hung around it, you are the steak. I am the side dish. So so for next year's ARA, come see us.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right, Jim. Well, thanks for being on. And again, everyone, recipe.com, link below, as well as the other videos that Jim made for us. All right, thanks, man.
And Tent Guys course, link somewhere else. Adam's the man. Thank you guys for watching.
That'll be down there too. That'll be down there too. Thanks, man.
Thank you, brother.